Well, Marla believes in helping people find the freedom to follow their passion and purpose without limitations. Her mission is to assist people worldwide in thriving and prospering, embodying the belief that a rising tide lifts all boats. Her clients experience profound transformations, achieving success in money management, leadership, relationship building, and personal happiness. Her guidance helps clients connect with their inner strength, fostering resilience and an unwavering determination. She is here today to inspire you, the listener, to make your life better. Marla, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. I was reading a little bit about some of your achievements. Can you tell us a little bit about your history?
Sure. How far back do you want me to go? Because
Well, you've done so many things with business and
yeah,
wellness, and I think some of that is all important because I believe that led you to what you're doing now.
it really did. And it's a funny thing how all the different things that we do in life, we don't realize, but we're actually being formed through all of them for whatever our passion and purpose is that's emerging, right? And it's kind of never ending. I grew up in Kentucky, so I'm a kid from Kentucky. I went to University of Kentucky because I actually loved animals better than people to study agriculture and equine science, and ended up graduating with equine science degree and became the business manager for Racehorse Farm in Lexington for a long time. And that was actually what I was doing when I met my husband, Chris. His sister and I worked together on the farm, and he had been deployed with the Army to Korea for a
Wow.
year, came home after that year-long deployment to take his sister to lunch and ended up taking me to dinner. So so that was pretty cool.
You know how those soldiers are, I tell you.
Yeah.
So you meet Chris right after he spends a year in Korea, and then obviously you got married, and
Hmm.
he stayed in the army. So he's
Yes.
active duty.
Yes. He was active duty, um, deployed to Iraq actually right before our first anniversary. Yeah, that's right, 2004. And then in 2005, on their election day, was in a roadside bomb explosion.
Mm,
Whoa.
So we just had 20 years since that. And so you were
that's
asking me about business and wellness, and you're about to hear where it all ties together, right? So, one of the cool things about horses that a lot of people don't realize is all of my training was exercise physiology, right? Movement, reproductive physiology, which is all about hormones and flow of the body, right? And nutrition. And we were doing a lot of things in horses and nutrition in the 90s that have become mainstream now in human nutrition because there was
Wow.
so much money in racehorses that you had a lot of people who were willing to fund all kinds of things to try. And a lot of things could be innovated there with animals before they were brought to the human population. So, understanding that, you can imagine that when he was sent back after, so the roadside bomb that he hit blew through his Humvee. He was in a Humvee, um, because at the time he was the HHC commander, and their job was to run resupply missions. So, uh, the bomb blew through the Humvee, and it hit him and took out about 60% of his gluteal muscles all the way down and exposed his tailbone.
Oh.
mm,
And I love it when they got him in and were examining him and everything, the doctor said, "Well, if it had been 1 second sooner, it would have cut you in half." And Chris said to him, "Yeah, and if it had been 1 second later, I would have missed me entirely."
right.
So,
Gotta
so
look at
it's
both
all
sides.
right. It's all like how you look at it. But anyway, so when he came back, I want to give so much gratitude and honor to the surgical team and the people that put him back together. But he was in the hospital for 6 weeks, and it took 26 surgeries
Wow.
to get him back together. And he had to have a blood transfusion at every surgery and tons of infections and everything else, which meant when you understand this, right, you have to have that 12-hour window that you can't eat before you go in anesthesia. And then when you come out of it, it's not like you feel like eating. And
Yeah.
so with that many surgeries in that time frame, his little girl was going completely bananas. Like, how are we going to help him regrow tissue if we can't feed him? So from that point, all that knowledge I had started to become very important to me. And I'm a natural, like say, I'm a natural researcher, and natural farmer. So I really started spending a lot of time beginning to train my mind to start thinking about alternative things, things we could do to support him nutritionally to bring his body back up. I wanted to get us in a position, frankly, financially, where we weren't going to rely on the VA for long-term care. I wanted it to be that if we were 5, 10 years down the road and he needed to go to a clinic somewhere overseas for some radical treatment, we could do it, right? That was such a driving force for me. Fear is a major motivator, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so in 2007, so it took us about a year really of going through all those processes in his recovery attached to the hospital. And then they brought us actually to the DC region because that's where he could go and continue to serve at Fort Myer and be off the front line while they continued his medical board, which back then took 18 months. Took a long time. So during that time, here I was again, this kid from Kentucky in the big city, right? And trying to figure it out. And I ended up starting a business selling nutritional products to doctors. And so I did that for 10 years. It was a network marketing based structure, but we had a very high ticket sale. It was very unusual because I had doctors' offices that were starting with $5,000 to $40,000 orders of products. And so through that, though, it gave me everything I needed because I was meeting a ton of doctors, not only here, but all over the country, and some from around the world that were phenomenal, that were introducing me to all kinds of new holistic things and things, things to learn, things to read, going to conferences, learning. I was learning so much about nutrition, and I was able to make some money from that. And also because it was our business, we wrote off everything that he ate, which I was feeding him thousands of dollars in nutritional products a month. Right.
So you ended up, through no fault of either of yours, and just an absolutely terrible, or your husband, Chris, ended up in a terrible position. You did whatever it took to make his life better. And all of this hardship and heartache and pain gave you the tools mixed with everything you'd learned in your life to help make his life better. And now you're using what you did there to make many other lives better, correct?
That's it.